Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today, I thought it'd be fun to do something different and let a couple things choose my art project. So I'm going to use art dice and the color cube. And these are kind of fun tools because the art dice, there's 9 dice in there, and on each die there are like 6 different options of materials you can use, subjects, moods, feelings, whatnot. So I just rolled them all. I haven't used them before, honestly. So I looked at all the different options that I had here, and there's landscape and love and the color purple and graphite or pencils and something old and buildings and a couple other things I can't. A reptile. I'm just trying to think and read that from my screen, but I didn't end up using all of these. I decided that I would pick a couple, right? Because I don't think I could work all of those in and also pick an image from the color cube. So I've got volume 1 and 2. So I decided that I would pull a card from 1 and pull a card from 2 and see, and just either use one or the other, or maybe both. And I was intrigued by this color scheme on this first card. I loved the rainbowness of it, but the picture itself was just kind of like an abstract like hallway or something, so it really wasn't enough of a subject. And then I chose this other card, and it's actually a more muted color palette, but I love that there were these a stone wall with some, I think, letter boxes in it, and some like fencing and some foliage up above. It's kind of weird to be cropped in like that. I don't really have context for the image, but I love old things, and I thought that would be kind of fun to do. So I just took a big piece of mixed media paper and I taped it down to a drawing board, and I decided I would give it a good shot and start off with graphite. Now I did roll again, and it was ink or markers, so I decided I would use I used both. So I cheated a little bit, but you know what? This was to get the creative juices flowing and get me out of a little bit of a funk where I couldn't figure out what I wanted to draw. Oh, and by the way, if you like this project, you can find a real-time version up in Critique Club, and I will have a link to that in the video description if you want to check that out. And if you're a member of Critique Club, it's up there right now. So I'm using the Faber-Castell matte pencils, and these are a pencil that I really want to love, but I don't know, for whatever reason I never really got on with them, but they've been in the drawer next to where I sit, so I figured let's pull those out. I really want to use these more. The thing is, they're kind of like, they almost feel like a cross between a colored pencil and a regular pencil. They're not very smudgeable or blendable that way. I like that there's no sheen or very little sheen from them. And so I figured using those in this piece would be good because I wouldn't get any reflection anywhere. And also it would be nice for filming. And that's why I got it, because I thought, well, maybe I'll do more more graphite pencil tutorials if I have a pencil that doesn't shine, because regular pencils shine on the camera so much that it's not good for filming. But I don't like the feeling of these as much as I like regular pencils. So I figured I'll use them here, and we'll see what we can do. And basically just sketching, nothing too fancy here. And I had this inexpensive pack of markers that I was sent to review by Hotu, and I thought, well, I'll just grab those because they're right here. Markers and ink was the second medium I rolled, and I thought, okay, why not? Let's give them a try. I know markers will work on the mixed media paper by Hanamula because I've used it before, and they worked fine. There is a little bleed through to the back. It didn't bleed onto the board, but you can see it on the back of the page. So if you were thinking about making a sketchbook with mixed media bamboo paper, you probably wouldn't want to use alcohol markers on it, just because it could bleed through. Not much, but you know, it does. And it is kind of an absorbent paper, so I wouldn't want to do well, it would run your markers drier than, say, a marker paper because it just sucks up more ink and it makes your colors look darker. So that's just something to kind of keep in mind if you're using a traditional mixed media paper for your markers. I'm using a green marker and a T-square to kind of get that wrought iron design up there in the background. I kind of wish I just used the width of the ruler to mark my lines, but you know what? They're actually pretty close. They're pretty similar considering I didn't mark it out or anything. So I'm not feeling too bad about that, gotta say. And honestly, when I woke up this morning, I was not thinking I'd be painting this today. So that's where the serendipity of using some sort of random artwork generator can provide. I will link to the color cube and the art dice in the video description if you're curious about those. The color cubes are a lot of fun. I use them for both of my 30 Days to Better painting classes, my regular one and my watercolor one, because it takes a lot of guesswork out, right? It just gets you to painting faster, and that's what I love it for. But it's also a great color scheme picker, and the woman that designed it, Sarah Renee Clark, designed it for coloring book enthusiasts. But it would also be really good for card makers or anybody that wants a little help picking colors. But I like it for the color scheme in reference photos. Anyway, so we've got our marker layer down, and I think that's coming along, honestly. I'm having fun. I'm really having fun. So I decided I'd grab another thing that I haven't used much, and I've had it for quite a while. And these are the XL Derwent Inktense blocks, set of 12. And this is so much fun. I don't know why I don't use these more. So I just basically kind of scribbled in some color. I didn't know how much it would show. I wanted to start kind of light, especially with the stones, because the stones are very light. And there's no brown in this set. So to get brown, I'll be mixing different colors. But also I like to have colorful neutrals, so it's nice to have those other colors in there. Now the foliage that's up behind the fence, I didn't really pay much attention to the fence. I'm just painting the foliage as if the fence was not there. And I want some bright spots, I want some dark spots, and the Inktense worked really well for that. And you don't have to have these XL blocks to do this. The regular blocks will work just the same. This is kind of a novelty, and it's fun. It's fun, especially for a bigger piece like this. This is just over 9 by 12. I don't know what they call the size in Europe. It's an A something, but it's one that's just a little over 9 by 12. And you can see how I'm making some really colorful neutrals just by using the like the yellow ochre and the Payne's gray and some of the other brights, just letting them mix together and neutralize one another. And I'm really liking how the shadows are making the letterbox kind of pop forward. I'm just having a fun time. It's great. Now the mixing area there, it's just the waffle flower silicone mat that will stain. These Inktense blocks are going to stain any sort of plastic or silicone palette you have. If you don't want it to stain, I would recommend using like a ceramic plate. You can go to the dollar store and get a white ceramic plate that you use for art. They work really well for that. You don't have to have anything fancy, but if you do have a ceramic palette, you'd want something with a flat surface. I actually think a plate would be better for these big blocks, but well, if you're picking it up with a brush, it doesn't matter. You can be on any type of palette that you have. Now, this is another fun thing I purchased back. It was before I went to France. I went all in this product, guys. I bought the Pentel Pocket Brush Pen because I was recommended it when I was at the Inktober retreat. Jake Parker said that really helped him break through an art block. And so I ordered it, and then they had the refills. They had a pack of 12 refills for like $7 on Amazon. So I got the pen for $7 and the refills for $7. And that's a great price for the black pen. If you want other colors, they have gray, sepia, and black on Blick, and they have a better price for the other colors. So it just depends on if you just want the black or if you want the brown. I'd love to get the sepia sometime because I do love to use a brown ink. But basically what I was doing here was just trying to put some shadow on the wrought iron and under the bricks. And this is actually a really pleasant pen to use. I don't think it comes in a variety of points. I think it's just this kind of medium tip. It's about the same as like a Zig clean color real brush pen tip, but it gets a really fine point, I think. And it also can get a fairly wide point when you kind of press down on it, and you can dry brush with it a little bit to get a little broken line for texture. I just like it. I think it's, I'm glad I got the refills. Of course, I'm still on the first cartridge that came with the pen. It comes with 2, and still on that first one, so I guess it was no rush to buy the refills, but it was such a good price that I'm like, well, if I can't get I'm always worried I'm going to buy something that's refillable, but I won't be able to get the refills. So anyway, I'm trying to change my ways and use what I have. I've been good. I haven't bought anything frivolous since or any art supply at all since the mini palette. It's a cute palette though. I'm trying to because I feel like I'm getting overwhelmed by stuff, so I need to just pull out this great stuff that I have and use it. And it feels good. It feels good to use the stuff you have, because that dopamine hit that just lasts a second when you buy something new, the dopamine hit you get from using something you have is much longer lasting. It may not, be as easily obtainable because you actually have to do the work, but it's longer lasting, and it feels better. It definitely feels better in the long run. I'm using just a paper towel to kind of blot some areas. And then I used the white Inktense block dry to kind of drag and add some texture onto the rocks. I also used it to try to add some highlights, I think, onto the letterbox. Now I'm using it with a fine liner here, not a fine liner, a liner brush to put highlights in on the wrought iron. And I was thinking, boy, this isn't as opaque as I remember it. I forgot, as it dries, it gets more bright, it gets whiter. So if you're using the Inktense Antique White block, either the standard or the XL, it gets much brighter as it dries. So don't freak out that it's not opaque right off the bat, because it will get there. It's not a bad idea to put a drop of water on it and let it soak in a bit before you go to use it. But I take the small Inktense blocks and I break a piece off and I keep it in my travel palette rather than bringing a tube of gouache, and I find it works really well. Another product that works really well in the same vein would be the Daniel Smith Titanium White watercolor stick, believe it or not. A student of mine, Scotty, brought one to the France retreat and she let me try it, and I was like, wow, that is really opaque. So either way, whatever's easier for you to get. The Inktense is cheaper. Actually, I think it's cheaper in both blocks, but you can get any of these blocks open stock. So if you see a color you want to try, but you don't want to commit to the set, because the set is like $72 on Blick, and on Amazon it's kind of pricey. You could just get a block or two, or get the regular blocks, which will give you more colors for your dollar anyway. But this white was definitely way too opaque on the letterbox once it dried, so I just went over with some more of that beautiful bright red color. I think it's poppy red. I turned all the blocks, I turned them all to their side so that when I used it with a brush, I wouldn't rub off the information on the blocks. I mean, there's only 12 of them, so I could definitely figure out what color I needed to replace if something happens and I actually use something up. Oh my gosh, can you imagine? I'll be able to replace it. I mean, I do use stuff up. I used up a couple acrylic markers this week, so, you know, I do use stuff up. It just, sometimes it feels like it just... Oh, I know. What a thing to complain about, having too many supplies. I mean, that's not a really bad problem to have, I've got to say. So, where are we now? I thought that the foliage looked a little too bright and I wanted to push it back. So I went in with some black and some moss and some Payne's Gray and just kind of colored it in there. And honestly, I could have just left it. I think it would have been cute just to leave it because that had a nice texture, but for whatever reason in real life, looking at it, I was like, I need to smoosh it and blend it in a little bit, have it transition back a little bit. And I actually do think it looks better now that I added a little bit of water and softened the texture, because there's so much texture on the rocks, and I want the rocks are closer to the viewer than that foliage, so I want that detail to be a little bit more prominent. Another neat thing about working from a little color cube card like this is that the picture's small, you can't blow it up, you're only going to be able to see so much detail, so you really have to rely on your imagination to fill in the gaps. Where that can be a problem if you're trying to go for something ultra realistic, it can be extremely freeing and extremely what do I want to say? It like exercises your brain and it exercises your creativity, and it makes you really think about, okay, where would the light be coming in? What sort of details would be on here? What does that splurby shape, what could that be? Is that an eagle? What is that? You know, I mean, it makes you really think and put your past experiences into play into your current artwork. And we're going to take off the tape. Tape does damage the paper a little bit on this bamboo mixed media, so just to give you a heads up there, I wanted to show you the back just so you could see the bleed through. But I kind of like how this came out, and if you'd like to do this real time with me, you can check it out in Critique Club. If you would like a list of the materials I used, you can find that in the video description. And I hope this encourages you to play with your supplies. And even if you don't want to go buy the dice or the cubes or whatnot, you can always write all your supplies on strips of paper and toss them in a jar and just pull a few out at random. You could save reference photos and keep them in a folder and pull one out at random. You know, it doesn't have to be something you buy. Creativity is within you. So go in and grab it. And until next time, happy crafting. Bye.